I'm giving you beaker eyes.
All right, looks like we are live. So, welcome everybody to episode 34 of Brew You. I'm Jeremy Johnson from St. Joseph, Michigan. I should say Southwest Michigan. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Justin Leveque.
What's going on, everyone?
And nobody responds. That's weird.
And that's weird. That's weird. I usually get a response. The cat usually meows or something. So
All
I
right.
get nothing
So,
today.
um, yes, as you might have guessed, I was on the golf course a little later than anticipated, uh, and we just had a fabulous meal. And so I raced home, and literally we just got out of the car like 2 minutes ago. So, but we'll talk about that later. Um,
That's why you look all hot and sweaty.
dude, I am a little burnt, but not too bad. Um, for those of you joining us for the first time, basically Justin and I drink beer and other
Yeah.
things, and then talk about just some geeky type things. So that's kind of what we're gonna do. Um, my beer today is not a beer. I actually
What?
chose Vandermill's Blue Gold,
Fair enough. Fair
which is
enough.
a blueberry cider from Spring Lake, Michigan. Hard cider.
That actually sounds pretty decent.
Yeah, it's really warm here today, and this just seemed like the perfect thing to cool me down, and won't be very heavy like a beer. So,
Fair enough.
what are you drinking?
I'm going to be doing Super Rad by Epic Ales. It is a farmhouse saison with grapefruit.
Ooh, that sounds
Uh,
awesome.
Yeah, they're actually not far from me. I just looked up their brewery. They're on First Ave, which is pretty close to where I am.
All right.
But for what I'm told about Epic Ales is they're kind of hit or miss, like the Lips of Faith series.
Oh, okay.
So they make a lot of these really kind of crazy beers, but only
What's
a
that
couple.
on their label? What's that a picture of? Look like a creature of some sort.
I think it's a grapefruit that's skateboarding, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, I like the label art. The label art's awesome.
super rad.
Um, Yeah, it actually looks like somebody like all the when you see this on the shelf, it looks like somebody made this from home and put it on the shelf. Like they all look kind of goofy like that.
Nice.
Weird. But yeah,
Very cool. All right, well let's crack these open and get to drinking.
yeah, I'm slightly concerned. Okay, so you can kind of see in here it was kind of foaming at the well, maybe not so much, but
Did it
it's
get
got
shaken up?
the foam. Yeah, well, no, it's yeah, a little bit.
I like the tall format too.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
Glug 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 glug.
Well, I never really looked at this up close, but the blueberry ale actually has a almost a beer-like
Oh, look at this.
quality to it. It's like kind of an amber. Ooh, yours looks great. Look at all that yeasty cloudiness.
All that sentiment too is just like all over. It's what was I gonna say? Yeah, it looks like a grapefruit and a looks like
Hmm.
grapefruit juice.
It does.
Hopefully, it tastes like grapefruit juice.
I got not much of a head. Mine obviously has no head whatsoever,
Ooh.
but quite a lot of effervescence as you can see.
Oh, I like the color.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
That's
It
it.
it it looks more sort of reddish on camera. It looks more golden in my hand. Maybe it's picking up my shirt again. I don't know.
Yeah, we need to work on that.
Hey, I'm no photographer, man.
I don't know if I don't know how many years did you have at the golf course?
We only had a couple actually. I had two Miller Lights over the course of 4 hours, so that's not
Oh,
anything.
that's nothing.
And well, we had a little bit of champagne this morning with brunch. I probably had 3 glasses there, and then I had a um, Saugatuck Brewing Company's Bonfire Brown. I think you've had that in the past. It's sort of a smoky brown, but
Yeah.
they had it in cask at this particular golf course restaurant, and it was with lemon peel and vanilla. So
Ooh.
really a really unique taste to that. That was pretty dang good. And then I capped it off with a Sierra Nevada torpedo. So
Which I've not had.
it's okay. It's an IPA.
Well, maybe I
It's
have.
if you like Sierra Nevada beer, it has the same sort of style to it. I find them to be a little coarse and muddy tasting in some cases, so it's not the greatest, but it did the
And well,
trick.
they distribute out here too. I know we've done a couple on the show.
Yeah.
We did their
I think I actually did the torpedo on the show in the can. I had the big can,
hmm,
but I don't recall whether or not I really dug it that much. And yeah, so anyways, so what are you getting on the nose?
fruity, grapefruity goodness with a hint of or pretty spicy, very fruity, very lively. Mm. It actually has like a kind of like it's got that nice bitter, tart, puckery smell right off the top. So I'm guessing that this is going to be pretty sour. But
Nice. Hmm.
what about yourself?
Yeah, it's what you would expect. It has a very sort of not an overly sweet smell. Like some ciders almost smell like rotten apples, like apples that have sort of turned bad or started to turn bad. And I've always found Vandermills to be a much sort of cleaner smell, very crisp. I know Joel hates that word, crisp and clean, but it does. It's not at all what you expect. Like when you open up a woodchuck, for instance, it has sort of a rotten apple smell,
I would agree with that.
right? And these guys, they have a much, and I'm not sure if that has to do with the fact that they're put it in cans, so it imparts a little bit of the metallic taste. I have no idea. Um, all I
Well, that
know
very well
is
could be.
what's that?
So that very well could be. I mean, I've had usually if I go for cider, there's Angry Orchard,
Yeah.
and you don't get that kind of, or you kind of get that as well from them.
Hmm.
And then I don't think they make it in metallic cans though. So
Well, I really like Vanderbilt stuff because they don't go for the sweet. Their sweetest one they have is their plain apple cider. It's the red cans, and everything else is like sort of like either just tart or a not sweet apple. Which I really enjoy. It's much more refreshing, I think, and you can actually drink more of them. So whether that's a
how's
good thing, I don't know.
how's that compared to like Strongbow, which is
I
generally
think
not that sweet either?
Well, yeah, I found Strongbow can be relatively sweet. In my book, it is still sweet. Strongbow
Hmm.
always seems like a heavier cider to me. And I know isn't Strongbow like it's either English or Irish? Isn't that who
Uh,
produces it?
Irish.
Irish is kind of what I think because I've always had them like as snake bites in the Guinness
Right.
and the whole thing.
Right.
So I'm not real partial. I'm really not partial to ciders in general, but Vandermills is one that I do seek out because not only are they local, but they sort of get what it is that people avoid with ciders, and they've done something really different here. And obviously, we have Ian as the spokesperson for or spokesmodel for the ciders, so it's got that sort of additional thing going on for us. So
You can say they really know what they're doing with their marketing.
I think so. I think they do, and they've been really hitting up all the local events and everything too. So
And pretty consistent, blueberries, Ian.
yeah, it all makes sense, right? Well, I meant to bring in a little promotional thing here, and I'll grab that here in a couple minutes. But anyways, but let's dig into this and see what we think of the taste.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hmm.
Are you getting grapefruit?
I'm getting grapefruit. I'm getting a lot of the farmhouse. It's not. It's pretty watery. It's actually very watery, with kind of a hint of actually with a lot of kind of like that farmhouse flavor, with a touch of grapefruit. But at the very end, there's kind of like it's probably from the sediment. At the very end, you're getting like a touch of fruitiness, like a little bit of the actual um, fruit component. But I'm gonna take another sip here.
Well, I'm also obviously getting a lot of fruit. It tastes like biting into a apple that's not quite ripe. So you get that just sort of really, I keep coming back to that crisp, clean thing because when you get an apple that's like just so firm and hasn't softened at all, and you take a bite and you come away with a big chunk and it's completely white inside the apple. That's really what this tastes like. And the blueberry, I'm not really getting. It's sort of maybe an undercurrent. Just this sort of like, I guess, more dark and bitter undertones, which I like. It's sort of a counterpoint thing. So the first blast that you get on the tongue is a real tartness. So you get that sort of like, your taste buds just sort of clamp up, and then you sort of enjoy the sweetness, the slight sweetness, and it's very good, very effervescent too. So it just kind of plays around in your mouth. Mm.
So you get a lot of this. You get a lot of dryness right off the bat, and it slowly turns into like as it's warming up a little bit too. Yeah, it starts off very dry, but kind of it feels kind of frothy, kind of almost kind of like carbonated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of lively but dry. Like it's got you're not hit with any like real pungent flavor. It's kind of there in the back, and then as it sticks, it gets kind of sticky, a little fruity.
Huh.
But
What's the ABV on that?
5.3.
Okay, well that's pretty decent, right? I mean that's just above sessionable,
Right.
and like mine is 6.9.
Okay.
So the fruit's really coming through on mine. You could just like, I don't know if it's the blueberries that amped it up or what, but
I would actually like more grapefruit in this. I mean, it's there, but
well, it's farmhouse style really. When you think of Brew Vivant's Farmhand, for instance,
right.
That's sort of like it was meant to be a quenching beverage when you're actually thirsty, right? So you're working out in the field, you can
Right.
hit the bar and have a quick farmhouse style. And so that particular style is meant to be a little on the lighter side. Um, that's too bad that it doesn't have more of the grapefruit. I wonder if they did actually add grapefruit to the mix like Shorts does.
I'm not sure.
The label really
Oh, actually,
reminded
it
me of
says,
Shorts.
yeah, yep. Yeah, actually, they did. So we decided rattlers are really fun to drink, but making them isn't super interesting. So we took a classic light farmhouse ale and added a whole grapefruit to the boil. It's super dry, lightly tart, and fruity.
Mm.
Bottle condition, sediment will develop unfiltered, lively, and complex.
Well, that explains everything. I mean, a traditional German rattler is, it's a light, usually like a Hefeweizen or farmhouse style.
I was going to
With
say it has the stylings of a half, like,
yeah,
very much so.
well, that makes sense. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean the like I had the Perrin grapefruit IPA is on tap at a local place, and then that's always been really good. But their latest offering is really low. It's sessionable now. It's like 4 point something, and it sort of lost some of the body that I liked. And I think that's probably what you're experiencing too. Like
That's exactly what
you
it
want
is, too.
that body, right?
Yeah.
What are you
There's just
expecting?
nothing here. Like, it tastes like they ran just a cold water filter through it. Like, just kind of. It's just very, very, very watered down. But then again, as we talk about, like, the bigger we go and the different kinds of beers we have, it really makes you kind of jaded towards the very simple, or at least if it's if it's not overly pungent, like if it's not powerful, it really doesn't do much for me. Like as good as it's warming up too, I'm getting more of the grapefruit because it was probably a little bit too cold in the fridge. Um, but it's just not it's not bad, but
just not what you were expecting, probably.
Not what I was expecting. I was expecting something a little more sour, a little more tart, and a little more grapefruit.
Yeah, fair enough. But, they can't all be that way, but it is pretty disappointing when you expect a certain style or a certain performance out of a beer, and
like I had said with Epic, they are very hit or miss on their beers. So
right. Okay. Good. Well, mine's really enjoyable, but there's not a whole lot to say about it, other than the fact that if you like cider and you like blueberries, but not overly so, this really does it for you. And this is, I wouldn't say this is my favorite Vandermills. It's a really good go-to, and I think it's pretty food friendly as well. But they do a couple other ones that I think are pretty darn amazing. They have one called Totally Roasted, which has toasted pecans in it. Or was made with toast. It's phenomenal. It has such a dry characteristic that it's almost not cider. It's something else, and it's sort of out of its class for cider. And then that's really Paul and the cidery. They really sort of think outside the box when they come up with these new concoctions, and they're always coming up with something new. And that's the 10th thing I want to run and grab for you real quick. If you wouldn't mind just waxing poetic about your beer real quick, I'll run and grab that.
Waxing poetic by myself?
Yeah.
Only wax poetically in private. So while he's getting to get that, really don't have much more to say about this beer, and I should wait for him to jump into the ratings. Yeah. Awkward. Welcome back.
So how did that go? Is poetry your thing? Awful.
Watch the rerun; it'll be priceless.
Well, what I wanted to say then was, as you know, Ian is our good buddy, and he is the spokesperson for, well, not spokesperson, but one of the models or spokesmodels for Vanderbilt cider, which is part of the reason why we want to do this. And their brand new flavor is called Ginger Peach, which is pretty unlike any cider you've ever had. It's quite interesting. The peach is really low key. The ginger is very predominant and tart. It's a very tart cider, which it's quite unlike anything you've ever seen. Much like their ad campaign, which I have right here. This is Ian, and we'll get that up there nice and.
Just so everybody can see that.
Yeah, just so everybody can check that out. Ginger Peach in cans, and that of course is Ian on the Miley Cyrus peach, giant peach thing. But I think it's a great cider, and it really illustrates their deftness with combining flavors into a cider that you would never go by a Angry Orchard or what's the other, Woodchuck, with these sorts of combinations of flavors. And it's, you have to appreciate that they're really sort of innovating in a very niche market that's been overdone over the course of years, and doing a phenomenal job, and sort of having fun with it too. Things like Ian's ad campaigns. It's pretty smart, and And I know Paul is a smart guy, and what he does is pretty special. So, for me, this is the blueberry, the blue gold is just a lot of fun, very food friendly. It's not my favorite of their styles, but it's certainly up there. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. No problem.
Wow. Okay, so as I'm letting it sit a little, like I must have had it too.
You look like you're about ready to cry.
I'm
Your
so
heart
sad.
has been broken.
I'm so sad that the grapefruit wasn't as strong as I would hope, because you know how I feel about grapefruit.
Yeah.
I mean, I even printed a shirt at work the other day that just had a big grapefruit on it. And this is grapefruit love.
Grapefruit loving. Had a big hole in the grapefruit. Well, small hole. Smallish hole.
Well, for the straw, yes, of course. There's the stuff. So I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10. My suggestion is to actually drink it at a regular temperature. It's probably helpful. I would just say that it's lacking any real punch. It's very dry and quite watery, but yeah, so 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Wow, okay.
I'm just not that impressed, honestly.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I mean,
yeah, my heart's been raped. Well, that's too bad, but maybe get some cider next time.
Maybe I will. I mean, it's the opening notes are just so dry and just without flavor that it just really kills. There's no balance to it. Like the only thing I like is at the very end, and it's when more of that fruit and that grapefruit comes through, but it's just so faint that and not there. It's disappointing. I mean, if it was going to start off really strong and fade out, that's one thing, or have a mix going back and forth, that's another. But if a beer if it lacks that opening punch, it's really hard to come back from.
So. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. I decided to give Vandermill's Blue Gold, look for it in cans, an 8 out of 10. Quite nice cider.
Look for it in cans. And I'm giving Epic Ale Super Rad a 6 out of 10.
Which is not super rad at all.
Which is not super rad. I might go try it on tap.
It's almost super sad, isn't it?
It's more super sad than super rad, in fact. It's even more than super.
Yeah.
But what's more than super? Sad.
Boink,
Sad pumpkin?
Boink, boink. Sad pumpkin. All right. Well, that's it, folks, for the beer portion of our show, or cider portion of our show, as the case may be.
The Brew You portion of our show.
Yes, the Brew You portion of our show. If you want to stick around, Jay and I are just going to talk about things which I haven't even really prepared for, so I'm hoping he has some things to talk about. Otherwise, feel free to like and subscribe. It's over there somewhere. To our YouTube channel, or circle us on Google+. We're not really on Facebook because it's Facebook. But feel free to drop us a line if you ever want to join our little brew tour here. Let us know. We'd love to have one or two guests on and just talk about some beers and other interesting things. But in the meantime, until next time.
Until next time.
Until next
time.
The
exciting conclusion. Will he
escape the cable car?
Do my Apollo. Brew you. And stuff.
Brew you, sir. All right. So what's going on in your world?
In my world? Oh,
In your world, besides T-shirt printing, awesome T-shirts.
Besides printing awesome T-shirts all day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, went downtown today. Lots going on down there with Mother's Day around the corner, obviously.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The market was packed, plus it was probably, I think it was like around 60 degrees and really cloudy, so everyone was outside. It's actually it's perfect to be outside today. Kind of wishing I had like a patio or porch or something. In fact, I need to find a place around here in Lower Queen Anne that has a patio to sit in, but there's really nothing in the area that's worthwhile, unfortunately. Working on a couple children's books.
Well, you mean like books for children?
Books for children, yes.
Or books with children in them?
Well, no, there's not children. There's not children in the children's books. That would just be weird.
Books made out of children. That's it.
Well, of course. That's my Necronomicon series that I've been working on.
It's human flesh. That's why it's so soft.
That's what happens after the kiddies get off the slave labor camps.
Oh.
They turn them into books. Is that too far? Right. I never know.
Is that where like Charlton Heston comes out at the end and says, "Stop it! You're reading books."
Pretty much.
You're reading people. That's it.
And then there's this big thing that was going on about burning them, and I don't know what that was all about.
So children's books, huh?
Children's books, and what was I going to mention? I don't remember. There's something that I needed to tell you, and I was excited to tell you, and it is escaping me at the moment. Yep, not there. It's gone.
It's gone. It's out of here.
So, movies?
Movies. Shoot, what did we see? I mean, we've been watching The Wire quite a lot. I did watch, oh crap, now I'm not going to remember the name of it. Did I tell you about, what was it, Hellbenders, I think? Was that Hellbenders?
I don't think so.
It's about these priests who essentially have to sin so that they're really close to hell, and that's the only way to like fight demons. They're like sort of exorcists. I don't. Have you? Is this ringing any bells?
Reeves in this?
What's that?
Is Keanu Reeves in this?
No. You think of Constantine?
Is this a sequel to Constantine?
No, but that's becoming a TV series, by the way.
Is Keanu in the series?
No, he's not in it.
No Keanu?
No Keanu.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I think so. I think it is.
What is Keanu doing these days, anyways? I see Tom Cruise is back at it again with another awesome action-packed flick.
Yeah. The
showing his age a bit these days.
What is it? It's got Emily Blunt in it, and it's something else.
It's far more exciting than him being in it, but.
What else says you?
Oh, it's called. It's end of game or no? It's isn't it after? It's after a video game, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it is. It might be after a graphic novel, possibly, but.
It could be.
But it's like where he dies, and then they just basically keep repeating it. Which it sounds like it's a. What was that? That one where Jake Gyllenhaal was on the train.
Oh, like 8 seconds. Oh wait, nope, that was the cowboy.
He kept dying.
Yeah, I know it's.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it's like it's the same.
It was 8 seconds on a train and no horse or bull.
Or Lone Ranger. Is that what you're thinking of?
No, I'm thinking of the movie 8 Seconds.
Yeah.
The movie from the 70s.
Yeah. Well, they keep repeating, this sort of thematic thing, but
right. If you could change one thing.
Right. Change one thing and relive it and keep going back and back and back and back.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah. Good point.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
At least he's not doing all those movies. I'm waiting for a Lego movie to go on Amazon so I can watch it again. Mm-hmm. But I've not seen it on there yet, unfortunately.
No, it'll be. They're gonna milk it. You kidding me? They're gonna be.
Oh, I know.
They're gonna sell the DVD. Yeah, it's gonna be rough to do that.
But Netflix, along with their, did you get their new, their important email the other day about raising prices for?
Absolutely.
So that's nice.
Well, again, it's inevitable, is what it is. And it's only for new people, and we get ours for 2 years, is it? So 2 years we're grandfathered in right now.
Right.
So we still pay the $7.99, and so they've never given up their quest to dissolve their DVD business and try to focus more on streaming, and that's actually fine. I think When they're producing quality shows like House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, you know, it's
Which both of those series have, or Orange is the New Black starts in June.
yeah, it's I'm
The
actually
other
fine.
one starts
Derek,
Derek comes back in May, or he comes back May, right? The end of this month.
I think so, yeah.
And then there's the other one, which I wasn't terribly fond of, but it wasn't bad. The Vampire and Werewolf.
Yeah, that one. I think
But
that
their
needs to
second
be.
season's coming out relatively soon too.
Yeah, and there
But
was
they're also
the.
getting their. Did you notice their massive update the other day with Adventures in Babysitting, and
Yes.
they've been bringing a lot of classics back.
Hmm.
Finally,
Okay,
they
I did watch a movie the other day, on Instant Watch. Uh, I think it was on Instant Watch. Here Comes the Devil.
why does that sound familiar?
It's two little evil kids on the cover, and it's actually a foreign film. I believe it's either
That's why it
Spanish.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's Spanish, or I think it's Spanish. I think it is, and it's not bad. It's really sort of low budget indie, and you can tell like they pulled influences from certain films. It's got a little bit of the Paranormal Activity vibe to it, but it's more to do with the devil, like Satan and sort of demonic possession and things like that. And it's kind of effective because it's this weird juxtaposition between the parents who are young parents and still sort of sexual, but but they're clearly having problems as well. So you have this weird relationship dynamic, but also the sex, and then you've got the little kids who are being sort of tormented by these things, um, and it's like evil children, but maybe not. It's the ending is somewhat predictable, but I sort of enjoyed the experience of going through it and seeing what a low budget foreign movie can do when it's emulating other films. So you pick up little things like, okay, that was from Rosemary's Baby, this was from, and you can sort of see the influences. It wears its influences on its sleeve, but it's still sort of fun. I mean, it's on Instant Watch, so I would totally recommend it.
I'll throw it
Um,
in the queue.
yeah, definitely worth a look. It does require a little bit of patience, but it's also kind of fun too. It's not an out and out humorous thing like uh, Rec 3. Uh,
Oh,
and,
Rec
and
3.
you saw my post about Rec 4, right?
Oh, no, I did not.
Yeah, I shared it with you on Google Plus. It's the trailer
Oh,
for Rec 4.
I'm excited about that. Should I
It,
be?
well, yeah, they bring back characters from number 1 and 2, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's
Because,
it's
well,
gonna be
because 3
sweet.
and 4, or sorry, 3, everybody dies, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think they do,
Spoiler
don't
alert.
they? I think they do.
But that is exciting. The Rex series has been a lot of fun, and I'm glad they've
Yep.
continued and not ruined it so far.
I think they've
Going
done a
strong with
wonderful
3.
job. Yeah, they've sort of subverted your expectations, and I'm really curious to see. It kind of looks like they're going to do the whole sort of Resident Evil thing. I get that vibe from the trailer, but check it out, see what you think. I think
Well,
it's
and the
going to be a
trick
lot
with
of fun.
that too is they're doing a similar theme, but they're not doing or it's the same overall idea, but it's not, they're not linked at all.
Right, they're not
Which is
milking.
probably very helpful in making these series of movies because they're all a separate entity. You can watch them all by themselves, and they make complete sense without the other, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
You're not worried about. You just get the format of the movie after watching, one or two of them in a row.
right.
Or well,
So which will be interesting if Rec 4 borrows those characters,
right, and
then
puts
we're
them all
sort of
in the same
looking at a
world.
different thing. Yeah, because then you will have had to see 1 or 2 in order to sort of like really get the deep appreciation of it. I mean, who
Or maybe it's
knows?
going to be their big finish.
Yeah. Well, I hope not. I hope it goes to Rec 22. I hope it doesn't
Well, yeah.
stop.
I mean, you can really apply the scenario of the film to pretty much anything. Like,
Yeah. Oh, so I have another recommendation for you too, and
ah,
this isn't a big recommendation, but there was a certain element to it that I thought was kind of fun. That was the movie's called The Last Days on Mars.
I did it go on Instant Watch recently?
No, it's on Instant Watch. It's been there for I don't know, maybe a month, maybe two.
So I passed over it, I think.
Yeah, it stars Liv Schreiber as the main sort of guy, and it's about this crew. It's actually very familiar storyline. Borrows heavily from other space movies like Alien and things like that. But this crew is, it's the last few hours of their mission on Mars, and all they have to do is finish up this one last thing, and then something but the and I you know I, I'm a huge fan of the old creepy eerie Warren comic books, and occasionally they would pull themselves out of the sort of monster milieu or vampires or whatever, and they would go to space. And occasionally that's sort of like where Alien sort of got its vibe from, was I think from those comics. And occasionally there would be a nice Richard Corbin or some other artist would do a space horror theme comic, and that's sort of where this goes. It pulls something out, and you're like, okay, zombie astronauts. That sounds great. So it's not completely successful in its execution, but it's definitely worth trying. So that's a high recommendation for you. Anyways, it looks like we may have lost Justin here, so I'm going to see if I can get him back. We'll find out if he's croaked. There he goes. He joined the call. I think he joined the call. You there, buddy?
Yeah, that was random.
Well, when it happens on a regular basis, it's not really random, is it?
But it's still random when it happens on a regular basis.
If you weren't expecting it. It's like the Spanish Inquisition.
What?
So I explained the movie to you, but you were frozen.
Well, it sounded really interesting.
Well, you can go back and review it and tell me if it sounds interesting. So.
Well, later I'll tell you if it sounds amazing, because it does sound amazing. I was actually tearing again.
Yeah, well, the other one we were trying to think of was Lilyhammer, is the other Netflix original series. Oh crap! I think we lost you again. Let's see here. Okay. Well, it looks like Justin may be having some difficulties, so we're probably just going to have to cancel this, cut this short. If you stuck around, thanks for sticking around. We're going to talk a little bit about movies and whatnot, and we'll catch you next time. We'll try to do this once a week, usually on Saturdays, but we'll find out. So have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in, and drink more beer. No, that's more like a Will Wheaton thing. Have a good night.